are such an asshole.
Oh, we got a simple question. This is all you got. This is all you want the answer. This is no. It's a hard question because we got a little bit more philosophical guy asking me a question of a problem I'm facing. I'm at certain frontiers. Nobody has the answers to anything. I just happen to be a little bit further down the path. You say, "What's down the path?" I'm like, "Ain't an answer. Ain't got no answer. I got some ideas and theories, but we'll try and bang this one out." A not so young man writes, "Hi, Aaron. I appreciate you reading this, and please keep me anonymous. I'm in my 50s, and based on most people's criteria, I should be deliriously happy and content, but I am not. I make well over six figures, have many software patents, zero debt, including a paid-for house and car, paid cash for the car, a very healthy emergency fund, a bunch of money in IRAs and 401ks, and pay cash for everything. I am also happily married to my wonderful wife, a housewife." Imagine that. You mean women that actually support their husband and take care of the kids might have really wonderful? Of 30 plus years and have two great kids and even a fantastic dog. My problem is, and this is all on my side, I am always thinking about and stressed out by work. I'm pretty self-directed, so this is all coming from me, not my boss nor others. It is from me. My question is for you. How can I not internalize all the issues, concerns about work, including ones I forecast in my head as possibilities? I'll interrupt and we'll go to the larger. That's a survival mechanism. All right. You'll go a little bit into your past. Your past was not easy. And it is a survival mechanism to forecast everything that can go wrong. Because I could guarantee you this, there's a higher probability of things going wrong than going right. Why? Because people suck. That's one thing I've learned in my life. Insurance is a great investment because you can almost rely on people to fail. So there's nothing wrong with that. That is your brain forecast. Let me ask you this. If you would take the time to stop and look how high you climbed, do you know anybody else that's in your situation at your age? I know anybody else my situation, my age, unless they inherited something, And people always criticize you, the commoners will, and you might even criticize yourself. Oh, you're working too hard. No, you got to learn to relax. Do you? And maybe it's because you concerned yourself about these things and were frugal and forecasted and predicted. And that's why you're in the top. I would argue 2% of American people in terms of financial health or financial accomplishment. I worry about the future. You should. That's very healthy. Now, if it cripples you, that's not healthy. But I don't think there's anything. My question: how can I not internalize all the issues, concerns about works, including the ones I forecast in my head as possibilities? That means you're doing 5 steps ahead in a chess game. That's absolutely what you should do, and then you should prepare for it. And then when you prepare for it, then you're done, and you don't worry about it no more. But I don't think that's a problem at all. I think that's a strength, and is probably that foresight, or at least planning for contingency planning, is one of the main reasons you are as successful as you are right there. So, I mean, and it's paid off in my life. Like, I don't assume anything's going to last forever. Not at all. Not at all. And like, that went away. Like ballroom dance, like there's the big swing dance craze, and that went away. And there's salsa craze, that went away. Finance classes, and then that kind of went away. Actually upgraded a video. I am always like, how is the world going to screw me over today? And by gosh, the word waltz, they really do want to screw you over. So there's nothing wrong there. My question: how can I not internalize all the issues and concerns about work, including the ones I forecast in my head as possibilities, and enjoy some of the fruits of my labor? I should add, we didn't inherit anything. Both my wife and I started very humbly and inherited nothing. I don't mind working hard. I just don't want to look back at my life and feel like I missed out on happiness because my mind is consumed 24/7 by the work world and miss out on joys right in front of me. I understand some of this diligence. Hang on, I'm going to take 2 more notes. And then what was the other one? Oh. There we go. Okay. I don't mind working hard. I just don't want to look back at my life and feel like I missed out on happiness because my mind is consumed 24/7 by the work world and miss out on the joys right in front of me. I understand some of this diligence probably contributed to my modest career success, incredibly good financial success. But now I wish I could just sometimes turn it off and care less, if you understand my meaning. Thanks for your terrific insights and advice. I love your combination of sharp mind coupled with a sharp tongue. Anonymous. All right. I got the same problem. I don't have the solution. And I've come up with explanations, but I don't really think I have a solution. And we're going to go through here. I took some notes because it's kind of important because I feel there's going to be more men and women, more men than women, but more men and women in the future. They're going to face this. What I have learned is certainly by my age and definitely by your age, you are who you are. And you are the culminated result of, in your case, over half a century of stimulus, conditioning, environment, and experiences. And neither you nor I nor anybody else of a significant age can just flip a switch. You came out the way you were because that is how the environment and your life path and everything culminated into how you are. And it's not a simple issue. Well, I'll just download I learned Kung Fu. It's not that simple. It's not the Matrix. And you have gone through, I wouldn't say horrific times, but you were brought up poor. You didn't come from wealth. You didn't inherit nothing. You and your wife had to scrape for everything. And I'm sure when you had kids, times were tight and tough. What you got to realize is, if you had kids, multiple kids, I'm going to assume that's at least 20 years of child rearing. And therefore 20, in addition to your youth. So we're talking 30 years, 3 decades minimum of you on the ropes of finances. But you made it through, not only for your own Darwinistic survival sense, but the love of your wife and the love of your children. And it shouldn't be a shock that that's been your entire life. And now you can't relax because you don't know anything else. It is hardwired into you. It is genetic. I was starting to listen to a thing on epigenetics. Jordan Peterson was talking about something. I forgot what it was. And it had to deal with like different proteins will be introduced into your genetic code based on behaviors like working out or quitting drugs or starting drugs or other external environment will change your code. And you've been consuming this steady diet of work ethic this entire time for 30 years of a career, half a century for your life. And now you're just like, why can't I relax? Because you've never relaxed. And pot calling the kettle black right here. Because I can't relax. And I've talked about it before. And I've likened it like where you have this minigun and you're just holding down onto the trigger. And it's not like a movie where you just blast away at whatever, the Predator or the Viet Cong coming out of you at the jungle. It is 20 years of just because that's how much is coming at you. Be it poverty. Now, it sounds like you had a pretty good career. In my particular case, hunger, poverty, a horrific career, like horrible, no stability, no employment stability, chaos from girls, lying, cheating. Forget the cheating doesn't bother me that much. It's like, well, at least you let me know, like that. You showed your true color. It was getting stood up. Oh, the preponderance of lies and BS to get out of poverty and figure out what the real world is. And then to like make progress finally. That a lot of guys don't hit that until they're 35. But it's still the same thing. And then all of a sudden, the last enemy comes through or the last tree is felled and there's nothing left. And you just, and then you take a time to stop. And you look and you're like, what do I do now? All you know to do is to grab the damn trigger again and start going back, even though there's nothing to shoot. And I don't dare call this PTSD because I didn't have like a singular traumatic experience, but there's been a conditioning that is somewhat similar to what vets go through when you're in war. And I wouldn't even necessarily say war. Perhaps some vets can chime in. Like when you're in Iraq in an environment, you don't know where a sniper's coming from. You don't know if there's an IED over there. And you're this heightened constant state of alert. And the reason you had to do that because your survival depended on it. I got a buddy, by God, he has a genuine case of PTSD. And he can't turn it off. He can say, dude, we're in Mankato. ISIS isn't here. Tell his brain that's been hardwired after, I think, 4 years in Iraq or Afghanistan or both. He'll look. Could be a sniper in there. He's got nightmares. A lot of Vietnam veterans, they have nightmares too. And whereas what you and I have gone through is nowhere near what true, genuine heroes and soldiers have gone through war, we have been conditioned. Our brain has been conditioned to always work, go to work, figure out what's going to happen because your survival depended on it. And whereas you would like to relax and chill out and maybe go a couple levels up in Maslow's hierarchy of needs, most of your experience was in the lower two of just survival and get by. And here's another thing, by the way, that's where most of human existence has been, in the lower two. This self-actualization BS, that's for rich girls from Edina who had mommy and daddy pay for things, or rich black girls from the ghetto who get a ton of student loan assistance and affirmative action jobs and what's the word I'm looking for? Scholarships so you can major in bullshit studies. Right? So they can pontificate about self-actualizations and self-esteem and all that other stuff. But whether your physical body actually is accelerating through this, you have love, you have belonging, you have self-esteem, you have family, you have everything. That don't mean your mind isn't still stuck in the lower two of survival and get by. And your brain is predispositioned to be there because that's been most of human existence. It's been starvation, poverty, hunger, strife. You would work until you're dead. And there is a great blessing in technology and capitalism where you've allowed people to be free and keep the lion's share of their wealth. And technology has made so we're in some viewpoints infinitely wealthy. Right? But the human mind has absolutely not caught up with technology. Technology and the economy and production has exponentially accelerated way faster than what the human mind can keep up with and evolutionize to. And you can see this probably with your grandkids or maybe your grandkids. I don't know how old your grandkids are, if you even have grandkids. But Gen Z, looking at their phones, oh, that is effing people up. People committed suicide, depression, all this other sad, tragic stuff. They're stuck on their the human mind cannot. Where my cell phone's not here, but the human mind is not ready for the cell phone. It just isn't. It's not ready for online dating. It's not ready for any of this. And so you got to understand what your brain is capable of and not capable of, especially given the context of how you grew up, and not grew up as a kid, but even as an adult. Your brain is not not yours. The human mind is not programmed to be happy, to have unlimited wealth. It's not programmed to retire. It's not in your nature. And now you're thrown into an environment where your brain's like, what do? I got to do something. In part because of the experiences that program you. I would also say because of 2 million years of human genetics. Like, we got to work. Something's wrong. Look out for the forward. And you're not turning it off. About the only respite I can give you, the only progress I've made is to accept it's not going to be turned off. It's not going away, and to stop fighting it because you're going to lose against that battle. Now, there's things you can do. All right. For example, I have fully come to admit that unless I do a full day's work and bang out a lot of stuff, I will not feel good about myself. I've also come to accept that I am forever going to eat fast. I almost view it as a luxury. And people are like, why are you eating like a Cro-Magnon? It's like, because there was a time, well, it wasn't a time, it was an extended period of time where I didn't know if I'd be called, and I had to go and I had to eat, and food was scarce. And I will forever eat fast. I don't care how many people it offends. I don't care. You people can go right to hell. Right? And just as I can't turn off eating fast or worrying about the future or threat assessment, which are all great survival skills, as much as I want to try, I'm not going to. I'm not going to fight it. I'm not going to worry about it. Another thing you might want to consider is forcing yourself. I don't want to call it meditation. I don't want to like, ooh, chakra crystals. Ooh, oh, ooh, ah. Is to force and recondition your brain and yourself to do nothing. This is hard. I've compromised or balked. I've half-assed it. Like to sit and do nothing, we're not going to be able to. I just know I can't. Knowing what your limitations are. But I will go for long walks. I mean, I could run. I could have ran for 4 miles, but that was my cardio. Then I will go for a long walk. And I will listen to podcasts. And sometimes I don't even listen to podcasts. I just listen to thunderstorms and rain or rushing creeks just to chill out and do nothing. Because you have to actually introduce that concept of doing nothing and just relaxing. And it's hard. It's very hard. And the second, it's going to happen. The nanosecond, you're like, I should be doing it, turn it off. Nope. And it's work. When someone said self-care is not a luxury. It's like mandatory. You'll stroke out, you'll stress out, and you won't be happy for the rest of your life. And I'll get to that later. But another thing is just sitting and relaxing and trying to forgive yourself. And it's hard, man. It is hard. So do everything you got to do. Like, don't fight it. Do what your chores are. Come up with a to-do list. Bang it out. But once that to-do list is done, it's wrestling with your own mind. Like, okay, the sniper's not around in that building. There's not an IED. You don't have to work. You've earned the money. Why don't you sit and just listen to this rain and thunderstorm? This is more than half the reason. It's like 75 majority reason I created Meditations by James. James Streisand is going to be recording some meditations I wrote. And I said, I want 25%. He'll make money, and hopefully 1,000 people subscribe. We can monetize it. But the main reason isn't the money. It's just James got a great voice. I just want to listen to the meditations and relax. Maybe you got to find religion if you don't have it. Even if it's hypocritically joining a religion, maybe it's just the exercise or participating in a religion you don't necessarily believe in. That process, it'll chill you out. But you have to start. You have to train. You've done this for 50 years. Why is my brain acting like it's been doing this for 50 years? Well, because you've been doing it for 50 years. And you start now, just like as a white belt in relaxing and meditation. Another thing, I'll mention it right now, The Way of Monkey book by Turd Flinging Monkey. Maybe get that book. That's another one that'll help. But reading Stoics, the philosophers that are Stoics, existentialism, not the dark black pill of, nihilism, but stuff like that. Maybe find really. But whatever it is, this exercise, you have to put effort into retraining your brain to calm down. And that's a long journey, and I'm maybe 2 steps into it. Most of which is relax. Catch yourself, don't get angry. Catch yourself, forgive yourself. Don't get upset because you didn't work 16 hours that day. It's all right to do nothing. It's okay to sit down and watch a movie and have a drink. And I won't lie to you. You have to take that step, but you're also going to be failing. I can't turn it off. I can't sit down and watch a movie and have a drink and then not, oh my God, I watched a movie and had a drink. I'm a douchebag. I'm a complete failure. The guilt that comes with it, well, you're fighting 5 decades of programming. You got to push through. I'm not saying lie around and become a bonbon eating, fat housewife that just watches the Oprah show or telenovas. But yeah, you can watch Kelly's Heroes. It's all right. You can have a beer. By God, you might even be able to have 2 beers. As long as you get that work done, whatever it is that you want to do, and then start to it's hard, but start as a white belt in relaxation and rewarding yourself. And so, that's just me trying to, you're asking a failure at this, what to do. I'm like, well, I can tell you what not to do. I can tell you the struggles I got, man. I can tell you, I don't know the solution. So that's generally what it is. So let's go through some of the keynotes I have here. All right. You're over half a century year old. You are not going to change without significant effort put into it. And so that requires you to realize you're not going to change, right? And to forgive yourself and just accept that. So at least you save that stress and energy, but then you are going to change if you put forth the effort, the GF. Well, why don't you just relax an hour a day? Hour a day, woman, do you know what I could do an hour a day? Things I think will get better when I get out west, where I'm just going to but one, accept your nature and who you are, and you can't fight it. But then at the same time, you're not going to change today, but over time you can slowly change. So, and you know what? Oh, by the way, before you got to go talk to Dr. David Maloney. He probably has way more insight into this. Professional psychologist, one of the few I trust. HisTherapist.com. Go talk to Dr. David Maloney. Tell him Cappy sent you. All of you other people out there, especially guys, you can't let go. You can't turn it off, especially PTSD guys from overseas or genuine cases, whatever trauma. Go talk to Dr. David Maloney. I'm just the guinea pig trying to figure this out myself. He might have more professional medical insights to this than what I have. But I do know, don't deny yourself that you are not going to change yourself today. All right. 2, do make efforts. Try, even if it's 15 minutes a day, I don't know, sit and do nothing. Watch an episode of Hogan's Heroes. All right. Try and do it. In addition to your to-do list, put to-do list of things that are fun. Right? It's work. And try and do it guilt-free. If you pull that off, tell me how you did it. Second, to understand, it's not going to solve the problem, but understand again that our brains have not caught up with technology and the advancement that way. Very few humans have been here. There's very few human experiences within the human genome or the DNA or whatever in the code to deal with essentially unlimited wealth, not having to labor. And remember, like when you were a parent, I see this with Lucifer and Geronimo's parents. They don't have time for these existential questions or these deep philosophical questions. They're too busy keeping up with their 2 kids and running. I mean, and you're kind of envy it. I'm like, boy, you're happy if you just get 2 hours off. You don't even think it's, I got 2 hours off. And I think the fact you have children, I would invest in them. And if you get grandchildren, you won. I would throw my job away and I'd grab my grandchildren. I'd go fishing. I'd squeeze them. Little Geronimo, she's the little one. She's about 3. And she's like, I was like, give me a hug. Like, you're going to squeeze my guts out. I'm not going to squeeze your guts out. You're going to squeeze my guts out. And then I grab it. I give her a hug, but real light. Then I go, yeah. And she's like, you're squeezing my guts out. She laughs again. I'm not actually hurting her. And boy, you got grandkids? Oh, boy, man. Oh, boy. Now, you don't want to flood them too much. I understand, you don't want to be that grandpa, like, what's going on? But boy, I'd spend time with the grandkids. I'd have some real cool plans. You could chant, and fishing. You fished. You probably don't want to fish. You know how to play soccer. You probably don't want to play soccer. You've done it all. But you can get a second life watching a little piece of junk. I want to say a little less, like teaching them how to fish or teaching her how to play kickball or teaching them, Miller time. Oh boy, my grandpa would always take me for Miller time because we go fish and then we go to the VFW. I didn't know what a VFW was. And I got to sit at the bar with all the other veterans. I wasn't a veteran. I was 4. And he'd sit there and he'd get a real beer and I get a root beer. Oh, man. And I think that's a conduit to some happiness and forgiveness where your brain is released of whatever your financial and career obligations might be. But if you get grandchildren, or nephews or nieces, that's the silver bullet for at least the time you're spending with them. And again, you don't want to flood them with attention. I'm like, oh, grandpa's going again. You kind of want that. But also realize that, a lot of people should have their heads buried in their kids and not have these questions. Well, no, your kids are out of the house. Well, maybe some grandkids come along. And by God, if there's not grandkids, maybe you go spend time with the orphans. Go spend time with some little, big brothers, little sisters, or big brothers. Is it two big sisters, little sisters, big brothers, little brothers, something like that? Maybe go read books to the little, 5-year-olds, the kindergartners. Something to like just not work until your grandkids come online. Oh, I got my own. All right, screw you kids. I'm not reading to you anymore. What else? We already talked about a long-term PTSD type of experience where now you're finally waking up and realizing your environment has changed. There are no trees. There are no enemies anymore. All right. You have to let go of the gun. You can't, you have to stop firing the minigun, and you need to learn to do something else. So it could be a hobby or anything. Also realize that you are not going to reprogram 50 years of programming you've received overnight. It's just not going to happen. Right? It's going to take some time. And I have 3 final, hopefully silver bullets or things that will help out. All right. First, get your wife in lingerie. And if you and your wife are not in good shape, get in good shape. I am very pro-sex, which every guy would be. But your wife is there. Now, do you want to go to the office, or do you want to have sex with your wife? And if your wife is a little frumpy, or let's just admit you're a little frumpy, maybe you guys go hit the gym. Get your wife introduced to yandy.com, Yandy. All right. And you guys get a good sex life going on. That'll be a distraction, at least for a couple hours, I would presume a week, at least a couple. And then you and your wife go on an adventure or something. Get your wife hot again. Get your dumbass hot again too. You go to the gym. You Lester burn them up. Don't do the cycle. I mean, lifting weights. Don't do pot. Right? But you get your wife in some lingerie and you rekindle that relationship. It'll give you something to do. Exercise, gym, and all that. Another thing that I've been working on, and this has also really helped a lot, is you and I are roughly the same age. You're a little bit older than me. But I don't know about you. My first 2/3 of life sucked. And I don't believe in an afterlife. And I am done having a life that sucks. I am going to enjoy the last third of my life. So I don't watch the news. I certainly am never going to go back to work corporate. I'll go live on welfare if I have to. I probably won't. I probably work some legit job like security or something like that. But I am not working in banking ever again. I am not going to work for a boomer boss unless they prove themselves amazing ever again. I'm not living that life. And that's just actions, but 90% of the battle of your misery essentially is that it's up here, mental. The question is, do you want to live the rest of your life, the last third of your life? You might be in your last quarter of life. You might only got 20 or 15 years left. Do you want to live the rest of your life like that? Or do you actually want to, and it compels you to say, I got to change. I mean, if you're looking for real, mope it up, well, here's the reason. Do you want to live the rest of your life like this? And that's the biggest motivating factor in my life. It's like, no, I don't. No, I don't want to do that. No, not anymore. I'm going to enjoy my life, at least the last third of it. I've made some good progress in that, having that philosophy. That helps me out too. And then finally, not kidding, I laminated it. I was listening to a Jordan Peterson podcast, and I don't care what your guys' opinion of him is. But this also spoke to me very clearly. I was like, oh, yeah. And so I printed it off and I carried it on my wallet. And anytime I feel like crap, or I feel like I'm not doing enough, or I have guilt, or I'm about to make a bad decision, if I think it's going to be, I read this. And this is the quote. Freedom is the freedom to choose your yoke. Okay. So there is no such thing as happiness. And Peterson, if you've ever listened to him enough, he doesn't believe life is tragic. It's all pain. And it's how do you deal with that pain that gives you purpose, value, and reason, and not happiness, but contentment and agency and worth in life. And so having that insight to realize that life, you're not supposed to be happy. Life is supposed to be painful because it was always painful. I mean, we got life on easy mode now. But how do you deal with this tragedy, this suffering, this pain? Ultimately is what's going to determine not necessarily your happiness, but your contentment and your peace with yourself. So I'm sorry, I didn't mean to go off on that tangent. Freedom is the freedom to choose your yoke. You choose the weight that you have to carry so that you can justify your miserable existence to yourself. So that you could go to bed at the end of the night and say, I did what I needed to do to set things right today. And I don't have to carry around the existential weight of my failure and uselessness as a consequence. I think that's because you're not busy chasing kids around, trying to put on a diaper with a kid running around with half a shirt on. You don't have that luxury. You don't have the luxury of kids occupying all your time. You don't have the luxury of debt or being poor. Like, I found a $5 bill on the ground the other day. I was pretty happy. If I found that $5 bill when I was 25, that would have been, I would have been jumping up and down in joy. And it really puts things into kind of like, things got pretty easy right now. You do not have the luxury of being ecstatic when, you saved, $5 footlongs came out. I don't know if anyone remembers that, but like, what, $5 to get a footlong sub? Yeah, winning. You don't get that joy anymore. You're financially set. You're squared away. Now you're looking, now you get to face the abyss. Now you get to look like, whoa, why am I here? What's going on? Is there anything else? Was there a celebration? Did I miss it? No, there was no celebration. You won at life. There is no prize. Life sucks. And do what you can to validate your miserable existence on this planet. In the meantime, the only addendum I would add to Dr. Jordan Peterson's recommendation here in the quote I just gave you is get your wife in some lingerie and get her a fake set of boobies if she's willing. Dye her hair, whatever. Get that sex life going on. That's about it. That's all I got. I'd like to be more deep and philosophical, but I don't know. Girls with long hair, big boobs, long legs, and a set of lingerie makes me pretty happy. Until the grandkids come online, I think you and your wife ought to go and play and have as much fun before one of you dies. So there you go. All right. Let's go through the super chats if we have any. Oh, we got a couple. Look at this. Tai Huan Do for €2. Victory always defeats us. No bells when you win. Correct. How do you know when you made it? You won't. You just wake up and it would be years ago that you made it. You just didn't realize it. There's no celebration. Oh, there's a celebration when you pass a test called the GED and you graduate from high school. And then there's a big celebration when you graduate from college with your worthless degree. That's the pomp and circumstance. And then there's a wedding. Yay. That's because you got married. Never mind if you were married for 30 years happily or not. This guy can't be too bad a shape. He's happily married to a great wife. I mean, come on, buddy. Be happy you got that. Hey, you don't believe, here's another thing you can do, pal. You go read the book of Numbers and you realize how statistically low you won the lottery if your wife is like that. 30 years and still a housewife and wonderful. You go read that book. That'll make you happy. That'll occupy 2-3 hours of your time. Fred Freeman Sowell, $2. Cappy's too liberal. Be conservachad like Vlad. I'm libertarian, which is more conservative than conservatives because the founding fathers were the original libertarians. Minus that whole slavery is okay thing. Nonstop Dre, $362. I have this issue ever since I left the Marines. Dre, I have a feeling you're going to have to go back to the reserves or something, man. You're not... God, I hate complimenting you. It really hurts me. With your brain and your intellect, you're going to need some camaraderie. You're going to need guys. You might as well go see if you can enlist part-time. Because, dude, civilian world sucks. People suck here as you're finding out. And you're not going to be more challenged than you were in the Marines. I could just guarantee you that. Patrick Wood, $5. I now realize why you enjoy Fresh and Fit. On an unrelated note, I have an idea of one thing we should add to the list of deal breakers. Well, email it to me. What was it, Patrick? Fred, for $5. Thomas Sowell's dad died when he was a baby, moved from North Carolina to New York City at 9. First in family to go past 6th grade. Yeah, Dodgers tryout in 48. Yeah, that's right. He did. Korean War. Yep. Now he's number one. Yeah, there. Exactly. This is what I'm talking about. This man, he walked the path. He's an interesting man, not because of how he was born, but what he went through. Boy, can you imagine how bored Thomas Sowell is with the rest of the people on the planet? Can you imagine that guy? Like, my God, everyone's an idiot. They're morons. What? Oh, poor Tom. Patrick Wood, $5. Also, I'll be passing through Cappy Land, South Dakota soon. What cities do you recommend I see while making pit stops? Thank you. You obtuse balloon nut. Yeah, hockey puck. There's not much. I sing the praises of South. It's all the west side. Do Badlands, Mount Rushmore, Black Hills, Deadwood, Spearfish Canyon. I'm trying to think what else. Those are like the main. Oh, Highway 16A out of Keystone. And those are like the key main things. There's hundreds of hikes you could do, but I mean, if you're just passing through those, that'll keep you occupied for at least 2 or 3 days. Nonstop, Dre. $2. I hate hearing relax, chill out from civilians. Yeah. You know what I hate more than that is like, well, we can't all be like you, and you'll land on your feet. Don't worry, you'll land on your feet. Like, how about you give me 1/10 of the money you gave your spoiled little brat's son to go to a private school? How about you give me that? How about you pay my rent for 2 months instead of paying your son's rent for 12 months? How about you do that? You're tough. You'll land on your feet. Alex Patino, our truck driving Latino agent in the field for $5. We were ready for flying cars, but not once was instant communication or socialization predicted. That's why we have unexpected societal problems. Yeah, we had no clue. And speaking of fresh and fit, boy, you want to see a technology that really threw a monkey and a wrench into the gears. The social media and the online dating has really skewed. You can read it here, the book of numbers. You look at women's response rates on online dating. Didn't Tinder, they find out like 9 out of 10 women's profiles are all bots because they want men to keep paying? It's like fractional reserve online dating profiles. There's only 1 out of every $10 actually deposited. Fred Freeman, solid $2. I buy a Cappy, a Calavera de Azucar in Mexico tomorrow. Sure, whatever that is. Send it on over. Dapper Dan Man, 18.3, $5. I eat fast because dad ate fast growing up without much food. The habit can be passed down in absence of the stimulus that originally created it. Yeah, I don't, we were okay as kids. It was college that ingrained that, and my 20s that ingrained that into me. So we were not starving as children. Quite the opposite. We ended up getting some good food in the 80s. Thank you, Ronald Reagan. But then the 90s came and college came. It's like, oh boy, I sure like ramen. Fred Freeman Sowell, $2. I'm up to 14 poll. Hey, 14 poll. Like what? Like this or this or this? I'm up to 13 this way, which is better than Cappy, but Cappy is less than Chad. We strive. What is Chad doing more than 14 pull-ups? Nonstop Dre, $2. How do your military friends relax their minds? Booze, cigars, guns, like disassembling, cleaning, building new ones. I know a fair amount of the guys have joined the fraternal groups, like the Eagles or the Masons. Man, Dre, you're young, man. These guys are all in their 40s and 50s. You go back to the Marines. Even if it's part-time, man, just go back, say hi to your dudes. You might be an officer then with your degree by that time. I hate to say it's not healthy. Some things are healthy, like joining a club or a group or taking up a hobby. That's what they do, but the booze is not helping. No. I don't know anyone that does a lot of exercise. I think probably because you guys got sick and tired of being schlepped all over the desert, carrying your rucksack around. Michael Suyamatsu, presume a Japanese dude, for $5. Thanks for having Seth Himes on. Got his course. I'm an apprentice electrician who was searching for remote work on the side. Perfect time. There we go. Good. Yeah. InDemandCareers.com or InDemandCareer.com. Well, that's good. I'm glad you signed up for him. Oh, we got a little bit more here. The competent man. The competent man. He came in. Of course, the competent man would come in here. Alex Patino, for $10 generous, his kids are not going to have a college fund. I'll have all the money. You said earlier, Cappy, we are not equipped for happiness in our environment. In our evolution was constant survival and a primal environment. That's why old people are never happy. And we're not meant to live past 50. Right. I don't know if we're meant to live past 35. I mean, you get drafted into war and killed, or the bubonic plague or something. Chi-Town biker and buy a motorcycle. Yes, that has helped. That has helped me tremendously. What's the temperature down in Chicago? You ride in pretty cold climate anyway. I got to head out either on the 15th or the 16th out to South Dakota. I got to look at the rain. I might have to dodge some rain or bring my rain gear. And it's been a long time with all this work that I did a long motorcycle ride. I went on little 20-minute piddly rides. Oh, I don't want to do it. It's the most boring ride. You're just going straight. There's no curves. There's no hills. You just... The competent man. Newman. $2. Fresh and fit. How do they get girls to show up on time? I don't know. We had that conversation before. I want to know, like, well, how do you... I wouldn't be surprised if they pay them. Not out of an escort sense, but like, hey, your time is valuable. We need you to show up. And we're not effing around. Here's some money. Show up. Ask them. Ask them how they get to show up on time. Because they manage it. Alex Patino again. By gosh, I'm going to get some Poke Bowl and change. Look at Urtzi, the Iceman. He died. Badass. There was blood DNA of 2 guys in one of his arrows. More blood of one other's in his stone knife, and DNA in another in his cloak and arrow on his back. What's he, the Iceman? Oh, like he was an ice dude. He was dug up from a glacier. Did some DNA tests. Utsi. Oh, wow. Look at that. He's pretty well preserved. Utsi, also called the Iceman, is a natural mummy of a man who lived between 3,400 and 3,100 BC. Discovered in September in the Otzal Alps, hence the nickname Otzi, on the border between Austria and Italy. Otzi is believed to have been murdered due to the discovery of an arrowhead embedded in his left shoulder and various other wounds. The nature of his life and circumstance of death are subject to investigation. There you go. Okay. Learn new thing. You're going to learn here more than you ever did in school. Fred Freeman saw $2, 14 your way, but the girls got fat after Reagan. Yes, they did. No. I'll give the girls credit. They were hot up until Clinton. There were some good-looking gals in the 90s. They wore dresses. That I'll give Gen X women that much. I mean, you all flaked out and never showed up on dates and lied. So that hasn't changed, but they were thinner back then. There were some, you would turn your head. Nonstop trade, $2. Do your siblings eat fast or have habits like you? I don't know if they eat as fast as me. I do know they have developed their own bad habits though. Where it was like weird superhero abilities that no one really like. I can eat really fast. And then my other siblings can do other things very well that I can't. It's debatable whether they're good or not habits, but yes, they have habits that they would trounce the average person in, including myself, because that's not my weird superpower that I got. I'm also trying to maintain some privacy for them as well. Fonny Ferry. Oh, hey, he's a regular guy. Where have you been, Fonny? 5 British pounds. Is an honest pursuit of love of God, as indicated in many religions, not a worthy goal to invest one's intellect in after reaching satiate? You know, it's you British people who have mastered the English language. You got to use these words I don't know. Satiety materially. Look, if you believe in God, like you find out there's evidence or you're proven somehow you're convinced there is a God, the pursuit of the love of God is a very noble pursuit, arguably the most important one, if you get proof of it. Me and DT have talked about this. My experience has been, if there's proof of God, it's not the kindness, it's the wicked, bad, statistically impossible crap that happened to me in my past. I'm like, you gotta be kidding. I don't need to go into details, but I'd be like, what now? Like, it was by design, the amount of bad luck and bad stuff that happened. And you really start becoming a cynical, jaded. Well, if there's a God, him and I are going to have some words. So like, I think I'm going to go join Team Lucifer because at least he's on. It's like, hey, you like big tits and booze? I do. Well, we got it here. Really? What's it going to cost me? Your soul? Fair deal. Let's go. But on a more mature tone, I'm jealous of people that have religion. I'm very jealous because you guys have something to believe in the afterlife, and there's some guidance and wisdom and meaning and purpose and all that when you find. But if Fonnie, if you actually something happens to you, and you're lucky enough to see enough empirical evidence that you are convinced that there is a God, I better worship that guy. Just saying, probably don't go against him. He's the guy you want on your side in a bar fight. I don't know if I'm going to be sacrificing no goats and, hey, Abraham, slay Isaac. Just kidding. Just joking. I was just ribbing you there, Abraham. Yeah, I know you almost killed your son. That was funny. Remember that time you almost killed your son? Those are good times. The Competent Man, $5. The Competent Man is a stock character who exhibits a very wide range of abilities and knowledge, making him a form of polymath. That's the second time I heard that word today. Alex Patino, $2. Don't worry right now. You're getting my booze money. Oh, there we go. I'm glad to keep you sober there, Alex. Glad to keep you sober. And the Competent Man, again, $5 from Stories of Robert Heinlein and An Atlas Shrugged, Ayn Rand. Today, most people seem to fear doing anything out of normal daily routine. True. True. And that's my number one complaint of humans is they're just so boring. I mean, they almost compel you to engage in vice or play video games or look at prawn. Where it's just like, well, you people are so boring. I don't want to have anything to do with you. I guess I will just go for a walk. Thank God for podcasts, though. I mean, you can at least hear other people's intellectual stuff. Rose isn't binging on Rollo a fair amount recently. I forget how good he is. Because you know him as, he's just Rollo. He's the Godfather guy, and we pick on him. He's got a funny haircut. And then you're like, oh, yeah, he did do some stuff. He is intellectual. Nigel Cardoso, 2 British pounds. How do I appear passionate about my career? I don't know if it's worth. You're not passionate then. To fake being passionate about your career, you show up to after work activities. You pay attention to meetings. I don't know how long you can fake it. But you get your certifications or your continuing ed. Nigel Cardoso again for 2 British pounds. At what age did you become financially secure? 35, 36. Yeah. Mid-30s. Mid-30s was mid to late 30s. More mid. 35, 36. Because the house was paid off, refinanced. Had rental income, online classes, dance classes. That's when I became financially. I mean, technically, I was always financially secure because I didn't starve to death. If I wasn't secure, I'd be dead. It's like none of you have been lost. Because if you were lost, you'd still be lost. You wouldn't have found your way back. So none of you have been lost. Alex Patino, $2. Read Epicurus on God. Okay. Talent on loan from God. Patrick Wood, $5. Here's more money instead of an email. Hey, baby, have you ever been on blank? Keep up the great work, sir. I will. All right. Thank you, gentlemen and ladies. That's it. I think I got 1 or 2 more videos coming up. God almighty, that was 50 minutes. Oh, no wonder okay. I may have to do something where we don't do super chats, just so I can get through the rest of them. We'll see you guys.